What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Absolute Strength Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hunt, back with another episode. And today we have my boy Charlie Dickson on, 2018 IPF 83 kg junior world champion. Yeah, I think he's pretty strong, actually, when you think about it. He's a pretty strong dude. No, seriously, Charlie is a super strong dude. He's actually bumping up a weight class this year for nationals, and he's a former wrestler, so we got to talk about some wrestling, talk about some powerlifting, all my favorite things. This was a fun conversation. The second time I've had Charlie on. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. I have to get back on my Friday uploads. I mean, yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of the Absolute Strength Podcast. And if you remember, initially this was a Friday podcast. That's when I uploaded all my episodes. And then really over the last 6 months or so, our schedule got a little off. So uploading today, Friday episode, and I'm going to try my best to stick to at least a Friday upload. But I'm going to be pumping out as many as possible. So ideally, at least 2 episodes a week. One will be on a Friday, and then one will be on, one of the other days. But trying to get back on the schedule so you guys have at least one day a week. When you wake up on a Friday morning, there will be an Absolute Strength podcast for you. Speaking of which, man, I'll tell you what, last week at my powerlifting meet, I was blown away by so many people who came up to me saying that they loved the episodes, they loved the podcast. It's always cool when they come up to you and you start talking and they mention specific episodes, like episodes I did a year and a half ago. Like, oh man, I really loved episode 36 with whatever, and I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. I just really appreciate it. Because I even think I talk about this at the end of this podcast with Charlie, but with YouTube or really any other social media or really any other content, there's a lot more interaction. I mean, you get the YouTube comments, you get all the likes, you get just a lot of interaction. But with the podcast, I mean, most of everyone who's listening is listening on iTunes or Stitcher, Google Play, and there's not much interaction. It's not like I upload an episode and then I go and check back and read all the 100 comments underneath the episode or anything. It's not like that at all. So with podcasting, there's really not as much interaction. I mean, I look at the downloads, and of course I get a bunch of DMs on Instagram and emails talking about the podcast, which I love. Continue to do that. Hit me up at Hunt Fitness on Instagram or KyleHuntFitness@gmail.com. Send me an email. Let me know what you think of the podcast and the episodes. Love that. And I get all those. I get all the messages and look at the download. So I see the numbers of people, but it's harder to put it into perspective until you actually are face to face with people and they're like, hey, I love the podcast. So I appreciate that. 2 years in, still love doing these. These are one of my favorite things that I do as part of the business. I have some cool plans to continue to grow the podcast and continue to reach out to more guests and continue bringing great content. So, without further ado, let's just get to Charlie Dickson. Charlie, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just hanging out.
Gotta bring you back on the podcast. It's been a minute. When was the last time we had you on?
I think it was April.
April? Cool.
Back in April. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing me back on, man. It was the first time, and excited to be here again.
Well, now you're coming on as a world champion, though.
Yeah, man, it's still sinking in.
Is it?
Yeah.
What was the feeling?
It's really hard to put into words, man. I remember, I think after I hit my second deadlift, I kind of I didn't look at the score sheet the entire meet.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember after I hit the second deadlift, I just glanced over at it and I did like the calculations, and I saw, I clinched the win or whatever. And it's just right then that this wave of emotion just came over me. And I remember I was listening to, one of my old playlists I had when I first started powerlifting, some of those songs, and it just took me down this weird trip. And I just remembered all the ups and the downs I had leading up to that point. And I just remember feeling so grateful to be there. And I just went on that last deadlift, man. And I think I only hit my last deadlift 1 or 2 times. I've competed like 10 or 11 times. And I just want to go out there and finish. I wanted to finish strong, and I went out there. I was able to hang on to it, and I just put it down. I saw the lights, like the 3 white lights, and dude, it was incredible.
I can imagine.
One of the happiest moments of my life.
Yeah, dude, that's
sure.
amazing. All the hard work and all the hours spent in the gym. I mean, it all leads up to a world championship. I mean, that's what you're training for. It's crazy.
Yeah.
How was your training cycle leading up to Worlds this year?
It was perfect.
Yeah.
We did a lot of top singles and things, and I'm a really big fan of that. I think if you use them properly, they can be a very useful tool. Psychologically as well, I think being able to go through that mental process of, okay, this is this is a heavy single, it just becomes automatic. You know what I mean? Because I remember in the past where I would go through a training cycle, doing like 5s and 4s, like multiple reps. And then you get into like the last couple weeks, you start hitting these singles. It's like, oh shit, you unrack it. It's like, this is heavy.
Yeah. Even if it's just like the psychological aspect of, oh shit, I haven't felt this in a while. Yeah.
It's like you feel like you have to do something different.
Yeah.
You feel like you have to hype yourself up or get super excited. And when you're just consistently doing it week after week and you're smoking them because, you have a couple reps left in the tank, it just builds that confidence. And, whether it's, your max or whatever it is, you just feel confident in your process and you go out there and you execute.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big confidence builder throughout the prep. And the main thing was just managing volume and regulating things when necessary, not pushing too hard when different things would start to crop up, and just managing recovery, staying on top of my sleep, nutrition, managing stress, and it all just fell into place.
Just all came together. How many days were you training in the gym?
4 days a week.
Okay.
I was also doing my first clinical rotation as a doctor of physical therapy student. So, I was working 8 to 5, and it's an hour commute. So I was getting up at like 6 a.m., drive an hour, get off work, drive an hour to the gym. And I would train like 2 or 3 hours at the gym and just run through it. And I think honestly that helped out a ton, because I remember in the past when I have all this free time, all I would think about is the training.
Yeah.
And you actually get there and you just feel this pressure, right? But when you're actually, you're super busy, you have all these other obligations, you get to the gym, it's like, finally, I'm here. And it's like, you're just free and you go in and you have fun. And that's really what I did, man. I just had fun the entire training cycle, still having fun.
No, I think a lot of people can relate to that too, because you almost like when you spend too much time thinking about it, you build it up in your head to that's going to be like this big grand moment, and then you're like, oh shit, it's just another training session. I have a bunch of these to do. You can't get to level 10 on every single day. You can't build it up in your head like it's this grand. You pretty much you can't have a world championship every single day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that also helps with recovery too, when you don't have to get super amped up for every single training session.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, you have some people who they train at a 10 all the time, just like they're super hyped up, super psyched up. You'd have to imagine that would affect their training. You'd almost have to build that into their programming. Like, look, all right, they train crazy every single day. They're probably not going to be able to train with the same frequency as someone who's more mellow and picks their spots when to psych themselves up.
Yeah. Do you find that in your own coaching with some of your? Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, I've as you work with more people, you realize you're like, oh shit, like this person, just their personality. I mean, they're going to go in and just go nuts. They're at a 10 every single time they walk into the gym. probably not going to be able to program as much frequency into theirs as someone who's a lot calm, like someone like me, for example. Like I'm pretty mellow, pretty calm. I don't go too crazy in the gym unless I absolutely have to. Like I try to keep myself as mellow as possible while still getting the work done.
Yeah. That's a good strategy.
So it's like, if a set requires a little bit more intensity in terms of psychological arousal, then I'll bring it. But if it doesn't, then it's almost like, what's the minimum amount of arousal I need to do the work? And that's what I try to do.
Yeah.
And plus, like we were talking about before we went live, with the atmosphere I'm training in, sometimes that helps.
Yeah, dude. I can imagine, man. That's have you ever like forgot your headphones, or do you train with music at all?
Well, what's wild is I used to never train with headphones. Like back in the day, back when I lived in New York, I would never train with headphones, or very rarely would I. But since moving down to South Carolina, and the music and the atmosphere in the gym is just so shitty that I pretty much have to wear headphones. And another thing is, because people come up and talk to me so much, like I was saying, that I've noticed it's bad when I wear headphones, but if I don't wear headphones, it just seems like it's an open invitation to talk to me whenever I want. Like I'm literally going under the bar for a set, like I was saying earlier before we went live, and people will come up and talk to you, and they'll still do that with headphones on, but it's considerably less with headphones, I've noticed.
Yeah, it's when I get to the gym, I try to be open, and have those conversations right off the bat. And then when I'm training, I'm training. And I try to convey that with my body language. And like I mentioned before, I'll be putting on my wrist wraps and my belt, and they're like still talking. I'm like, I don't want to be a dick, but man, I got work to do.
Yeah, I mean, like I was telling the story to you beforehand, but it's like I've had the same experience. Like you're literally, the bar is loaded. You're wrapping up your wrist wraps. You got your belt on, and then you see someone out of the corner of your eye standing right next to you. You can't even do the set because you're going to hit them with the bar, and you have your headphones on and everything. You're like super focused on doing the set, and you realize I'm going to have to say something. So you take your headphones off. What's going on? And is today a heavy day? I'm like, well, relative heavy day. I mean, I don't know. Heavy to you, probably.
Right.
No, it's like, trust me, like I'm a super social person, so I enjoy the conversations, but it's tough, especially when, for one, you want to get your work done. And when you're focused on training, it's hard to stay 100% focused, especially when the conversations aren't about what you're doing necessarily.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, if it's a gym full of powerlifters and they're talking about literally what you're doing and what your training session is and what you need to do to get better and things like that, hey, that's all part of the conversation. But when it's going to be something out from left field, right, 30 seconds before you're doing your set, it's not that helpful.
Yeah, man, especially at a commercial gym, it's hard to tell what kind of conversation.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know what it's going to be. Yeah,
talking about sports or just something completely random. They try to drag you into it. It's like, man, I'm good.
So then you're thinking about that, and you're like, oh shit, now I got to bring myself back, get focused, refocused on the task at hand.
Yeah, for sure. Have you thought about like getting a home gym or anything like that?
Yeah, I definitely have. I've definitely thought about that. Because pretty much, for the most part, I think that would probably be like everything I would need, because it's not like I have like a group of training partners anyway. So I pretty much just train by myself anyway. So I wouldn't be losing anything on that front. Yeah, I've definitely thought about that, because there's really no powerlifting gyms in Myrtle Beach.
Really?
Yeah, there's like none.
And you figured there would be.
You'd think there would be, but yeah, there's not. There's not even really many powerlifters in Myrtle.
And just a lot of people visiting and kind of hitting out type of thing.
Yeah, bodybuilding's pretty big. There's a lot of people that compete in bodybuilding. It kind of makes sense by the beach, but
yeah, for sure.
A lot of people who people in Myrtle listening are going to hate this, but it's so the training culture in Myrtle is kind of funny. Like there's a lot of bodybuilding, but a lot of drugged bodybuilding. So you'll see guys when they're getting ready to compete, and you'll be like, holy shit, they look amazing. And then you'll literally see them like 3 months later, and it won't even look like they lift. You'll be like, holy shit, is that the same person? No joke. Like that's like the gym culture in Myrtle Beach. Like anybody who pretty much looks decent is probably on shit. And trust me, I'm not the type of person that says that if I don't have evidence. Like, I'm the least person that would ever say, oh, he's jacked, he must be on shit. Like, I'm not that at all. It's when, after living here for 2 years, when you see people who they're 220 pounds shredded, and then you see them 3 months later and they're 180. Okay, that's not natural. Like, there's no way that's
what's going on there?
There's no way that's just a natural, I was out of the gym. No, you were out of the gym and you were off cycle. That's what happened.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Do you go down to the beach at all?
Yeah, quite a bit. Not as much as I initially thought before moving here. I don't know, man. It's just when you're busy, you have a bunch of shit going on. Like, it's especially when you have a kid too. So like when we go to the beach, it's like it has to be like a big it's a big process. You know what I mean? Because for one, my daughter loves the beach. So when we go, we have to be there for a while. And then two, we got to pack all the shit that she wants, obviously. And then just the cleanup that's involved. It's about a half a day process minimum. So it's kind of, I don't know, got to almost plan it in,
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's definitely nice having that option to go to the beach whenever, but I definitely don't take advantage of it as much as I thought I would.
That makes sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess it just kind of becomes normal at that point.
Yeah, it really does. Like, yeah, it's funny because you think of when you go on vacation, that's like your goal for the week. It's like, okay, I'm coming down to the beach. I want to make sure I'm at the beach every single day. But then when you have access to it all the time, you're like, oh, it's easy to just be like, oh, we'll go some other time. We'll go like next week, but then it just gets pushed and then you don't end up going as much as you probably should.
Yeah. I really enjoy Myrtle Beach, man. It's a pretty cool place. I like they have all the miniature golf courses and things down there. And do they still have the big slingshot on the main strip where it shoots you up in there?
Yeah, I think they still have that. Yeah. I haven't done it though.
Yeah, me and my brother, we get on that thing, and he's in the military, so he's always skydiving and doing a bunch of crazy shit. So we get on there, and it records the video.
Yep.
And I'm like freaking out, and he's just like laughing his ass off. Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they still have that right by like the big Ferris wheel thing, the sky wheel or whatever.
The sky wheel, yeah.
When was the last time you came down?
It's like 2014.
Oh shit! Yeah, that was before I moved down here. I moved down in 2016.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. What was your weight cut like this year for Worlds? I know you're bumping up a weight class. Was the cut pretty gnarly? I know you've had some big cuts in the past.
Yeah, the weight cut for Worlds I didn't think was as difficult.
Oh, okay.
It was around the same amount of weight, so I was walking around 193, 195, somewhere in there. And, just follow that same process with the water manipulation, everything. Yep. And, I didn't have to do any like sauna or hot baths or anything like that. I just manipulating all those variables with food intake and things. I was right on.
Awesome.
So it was probably the smoothest weight cut I've had.
Do you think that possibly led to your performance or maybe not?
I think so. I actually totaled, I think, a few kilos more at nationals.
Okay.
So at Worlds, I was able to put most of the weight back on. I think I was back up like 191 or 192 after weigh-ins, and that was tough, man.
I bet.
Pounding like a gallon of water, and of course at nationals, the session got bumped back half an hour, so we had that extra time.
Yeah.
So. At Worlds, I went on, and literally right after I came off of my third squat, I was already warming up the bench. Like it was a very, very quick meet. So we were a little more conservative with the attempts and things like that, because the main goal is just to go 9 for 9, go out and execute. And it was very smooth, man. It was weird because that was the first time I'd been out of the country. It was Canada, so it was kind of familiar. It was pretty familiar, but you just get there, it's very foreign, and everything. It's new, it's exciting. You get anxious, you get all these crazy feelings, and of course, cutting weight kind of compounds all that.
Yeah.
And after you weigh in, you chug your food, you feel like crap, but once you put your singlet on, put your warm-up clothes on, and as soon as I touched the bar, I just felt right at home. Like everything just fell into place after that. It's almost like a switch. Like everything around you can feel completely foreign, out of place, but when you put your hands on the barbell, it's like familiar to you.
Yeah. That's the one familiar thing. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. When you grab the barbell, you load the plates, you're like, okay, I know where I'm at. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what led to the decision to bump up? Is it more like a long-term thing, or it's just you're at the point where you knew to continue to progress, you had to get a little bit bigger?
Yeah, both of those things. So from a long-term perspective, of course, muscle mass, increasing your muscle mass, you're going to be able to gain more strength that way. And I feel like I really maximized my potential at 83 kilos.
Yeah. Especially how tall you are and how much muscle you already carry. I mean,
yeah. Because that was the main thing. Because I was, staying pretty close to the weight class, like weighing it or walking around like 187, and my performance stalled. And when I found that big increase in strength is when I started walking around a lot heavier and doing the bigger water cut.
Yep.
I think a lot of that was just from the increased muscle mass.
Yep.
So I think from a long-term perspective, 93 kilos is going to be the good decision there. And I'm already like 204, 205.
I was going to say, how much do you weigh right now? Yeah.
Yeah. Walk around 204, 205. Feel great, man. Recovery's been on point. I just feel much stronger week to week. And it's been going great so far.
Have you changed anything about your nutrition? Obviously, you've added calories, I would assume. But other than that, I know you work with Renaissance now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So they reached out to me about a month ago. We've been working together. And as far as the diet, so after Worlds, I didn't track for like 2 or 3 weeks. I was just eating a lot of food.
Just ate whatever?
Yeah, I would, if I had to guess, it's for like at least 4,000 calories a day.
What are you, during like a meat prep, what would your calories be at?
Around 3,000.
Okay. So about 1,000 calories more probably.
Yeah. And I just did that for a couple weeks, shot up to, around 200 pounds. And around that time, Renaissance reached out and they sent over the muscle gain diet template. And I've been following that. It just kind of lays out, target macros and gives you different food suggestions for protein, fats, and carbs. And I think having that has really helped out as well as far as the meal timing aspect of it. So getting more carbs around my workouts, having like a shake during my workouts. I got off track a little bit. So currently I'm eating around 3,500 calories on average throughout the week.
What does a sample day look like for you?
Sample day, like food wise?
Yeah.
So I'll wake up and I'll usually have a shake. So I'll have some Fairlife chocolate milk.
That's good stuff.
Some oats in there. Yeah, it's delicious.
That Fairlife is good stuff. Yeah. I remember, a few years ago when the first time I ever saw it, I think was at a gas station, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I looked at the macros. I was like, "Oh shit, I got to try this!" And I tried it. I'm like, "Oh man, this is some good stuff. This is the secret right here."
It can't be real. You know what I mean?
I know. I was like, "What is this stuff?" Yeah.
So I'll have that first thing in the morning with some oats, peanut butter, and a scoop of protein.
Okay.
And that's usually around close to 1,000 calories. It's really easy to get that in to start off the day. Because when you're eating a lot of calories consistently, it can be hard to continue to shove it down.
Yeah.
So having the shake certainly helps out with that.
The shake is the key to consistency. That hashtag consistency game.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Uh-huh. Then a couple hours later, I'll have some rice with some tuna and like apple or something like that. And maybe like some green beans. And then go to the gym, I'll train. During my workouts, I'll have a scoop of whey protein, usually vanilla, and then a scoop of Gatorade powder.
Okay.
So that's like 60 some grams of carbs, like 30 grams of protein. I'll sip on that throughout the workout, especially for those longer training sessions.
Yeah, the longer sessions.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 hours, you know, you get halfway through, like your energy levels start to dip, and it's hard to go just as hard on the accessories as well once you have all the main movements.
Yeah, 100%. That's something I used to do a lot of, just the protein with Gatorade powder during training, and I've gotten away from it, but I think I'm going to add that back in because I actually, now that I competed last weekend, I actually want to go through a phase of gaining a little bit of weight just because I've been continuously super light for 163. Like the night before the meet, I had so the Bills played the night before preseason game. So I was just like in my hotel room watching NFL Network, watching the Bills play. I went out I had steak, like late lunch. And then right next to the hotel, there was Chipotle. So I had a Chipotle bowl. And then everyone who was watching the game got pizza. And I literally had, I think, 1 or 2 slices of pizza. It's all the night before. Still woke up, weighed 161.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you walk around like under the weight class.
Yeah, pretty much. Like 163 is pretty much what I walk around at. Man. But it fluctuates, like anywhere from like 161 to like 163 is the high end usually. So I mean, I definitely try to get up to. Yeah, I would like to get up to at least where I'm walking around at 170. I've done it before. I just haven't maintained it. Yeah, it's
gotcha. I think that'd be good, man.
Yeah, I definitely think that'd be beneficial for me.
Yeah,
definitely. If I could just just kind of get like to where I mean, it wouldn't be hard. It's not like, you know, when you do the math, it's not like I'm going to really need to do it or push anything really that hard. It's just having that hashtag consistency game in that surplus a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah. And plus you have all that experience with water cutting from wrestling too. That'd be a very straightforward process.
Yeah. I haven't really even had to implement anything like that.
Yeah. I kind of like it. I feel like it gives you this edge.
It does. The mental edge. I used to always think when I was wrestling, like I used to always think that like it gave me this mental edge, just because I had to be so disciplined and dialed in to make weight.
Yeah.
And then from the wrestling side, like when you're cutting, especially when I was cutting a lot of weight, I was wrestling at 96 and 103 pounds. So I was like 10 pounds is a ton of weight. Added for that weight class. So it's like the mental side, I was just like, oh shit, I'm gonna be so much bigger than these kids. They're not even gonna have a chance. It's not gonna be fair. Yeah. So you have the shake during training and then continue on.
Yep. And drink like half during training and then half after.
Okay.
And then about an hour after training, I'll come home and usually have some chicken with some sweet potato and some type of vegetable. Usually I just get like the frozen bag you get at Walmart and throw it in the microwave. And then usually before I go to bed, I'll have a cup or two of some Fairlife and a few tablespoons of peanut butter and head to bed.
Good shit.
Yeah, man.
It's good. Yes, it seems like it's it's kind of, you have a built-in system that's not that hard for you. I mean, it seems like you have that shake in the morning, have that other meal during training, shake, dinner, and then a little snack at night. It seems like that's should be pretty easy for you to stick to too.
Yeah, for sure. And of course I sub in different things as well.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
If my family wants to cook dinner or something, I'll fit that in as well. That's the benefits of not having to cut. You can be super flexible. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, the more calories you have to play with, the more flexibility you have.
Yeah.
It's
like a budget.
Nice. Yeah, it is. It really is like a budget. I mean, that's one of the things I say to clients all the time. It's like, the benefit to flexible dieting really is in when you're gaining. I mean, that's when the flexibility comes in, because when you're cutting, I mean, you still have that flexibility, but your restraints they're so small. Like the flexibility isn't nearly what it was always perceived to be, especially when cutting.
Yeah. And when you are limited, I think it's a lot better to have that consistency and to have foods that fill you up. So lots of vegetables and those more nutrient dense foods, because they're going to keep you more satiated.
Yep.
As opposed to eating like a Twinkie or something.
Yeah, 100%. You waste a bunch of calories and carbs and fat on something that doesn't really do anything to create fullness. It's just a bunch of empty calories. And and really the thing too, and what I found is it doesn't really lead to more sustainability. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that was initially what we were talking about with flexible dieting. It was like, oh, well, during a diet, we're more flexible. You can eat like a Pop-Tart and stuff, and then it allows you to stick to your diet longer. Maybe in the beginning, but as you get further along in the diet, when calories and carbohydrates are restricted, adding those type of foods in actually causes more problems, because then you have less carbs to actually play with throughout the day. I mean, you just take away 30, 40 grams of carbs right off the bat, and it doesn't do anything for your fullness, having no fiber or no real nutrient density. I mean, you're limited on your day. Now, I mean, there goes 200 calories. Hope it was fun.
So when you're walking someone through a diet, do you usually start them off more aggressively or more conservatively as far as the deficit?
Usually I start conservatively, because it's so much easier always to get more aggressive than it is to start aggressive and then go back to conservative. It's just easier to start conservative, build that consistency up, get them rolling. You know what I mean? Let's build up some momentum. Another thing too is you want to diet somebody. So let's say we start a diet and we figure out, okay, you need to lose 1.5 pounds per week to get to your end goal at whatever date. So we want to have you eat as much as possible while still hitting our weekly target goals. So we might be able to start really aggressively and hit 3 pounds loss per week. But how long is that going to go before we need to make another adjustment, and then we're not going to have anywhere to adjust from? And also, if you're losing too fast right off the bat, your training performance is probably going to go down quicker. Not probably, it will.
Absolutely. Do you implement cardio right off the bat, or is that something once they hit a plateau, you start thinking about cardio?
It depends on what they've been doing already. If they've already been doing cardio and they enjoy it, then specifically if they've already been doing it, then we'll keep it in. But if they've been doing no cardio right off the bat and they don't want to do any cardio, then we'll start without it and kind of keep that in our back pocket, and then say, okay, well, when we hit a sticking point, we haven't implemented any cardio at all. So we can always do that first and keep the food higher and not adjust that right off the bat. Another thing I do a lot is have people track steps, because as you progress in a diet, a lot of times you become more or less active subconsciously. Like you stop walking your dog as much, you stop going for a walk at lunch, or you stop fidgeting, stop moving.
Yeah.
But if you track your steps, we have a numerical, a data point on how to keep that maintained.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's important too, because sometimes I'll just say, hey, you're not doing any cardio, but you have a sedentary job. Someone like me, I would say, hey, let's shoot for like 8,000 steps a day or something. And so I'm not really prescribing cardio per se, but I'm prescribing activity.
Okay. Do you knock out like any pull-ups or anything like that during your breaks?
Oh yeah.
Working?
Oh yeah. I have a pull-up bar on my doorway in my office.
That's awesome.
So I always bang up pull-ups. Did you? I gotta ask you. Did you ever? You probably didn't. But did you ever see way back in the day? I think it was like 2013. I did a pull-up video on one of those doorway pull-up bars, and I was drunk, and then it like fell down.
I think I did see that. Yeah.
It like went viral. It was like all over.
Yeah.
But it's just funny whenever I bring up my doorway pull-up bar. That's like what? Picks up. Oh shit!
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
Well, what was funny, so I did that, and for some reason I'm in my boxers in the video. I've never figured that out, how I was or why I was in my boxers.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was doing it, and then everyone was like, "Oh, you should post it on your YouTube." So I did, and didn't think anything of it for months. I didn't even because everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to go viral," and I was like, "Yeah, whatever." So I posted it on YouTube, and nothing happened for 6 months. It was just like a normal video. It got a normal amount of views. I think just pretty much all my subscribers watched it and oh, this is funny, whatever. And then about the 6-month mark, I got an email from a talent agency. And hey, we want to buy this video from you. I'm like, okay, cool. It was for like $100 or $200 or something. I'm like, cool, whatever. So I just didn't have the rights to it anymore. And then next thing you know, that video was everywhere. It was like on TV, on like the Funniest Home Video stuff. It was on,
Really?
Yeah, like a big YouTube channel. It was just, that's when it went viral. Like it was on all over the place.
Man. Did you like ever go to like the grocery store and someone comes up to you and is like, hey, you're the pull-up guy?
No, not that, but a ton of people have like messaged me on social media. Like they'll start following me for like powerlifting or for something else because of the podcast or something. And then they'll be like, wait a minute, were you that guy in the pull-up video? I'm like, yeah, it was me. What was actually funny about it is when it was posted on Facebook one time by one of those sites, like there was a bunch of people in the comments because just, I don't know, from like the angle and everything, it looked weird. It looked like actually my upper body was a lot bigger than my lower body. So everybody was like commenting, oh, this guy doesn't train legs or this guy doesn't know how to do pull-ups and stuff. And there were people who actually knew who I was, like arguing with them, like, oh no, he actually does legs.
Yeah.
It was wild. Crazy shit, man.
Have you sort of developed a detachment from the opinions and people that people have of you and things like that being on social media and all that?
I think so, but I think it's more, I don't know, for me personally, I think it's something I've always kind of had. Because I've always put a lot of pressure on myself and almost always have been, I don't know, like going back to like childhood sports, I've always put a lot of pressure on myself. So it was almost like, didn't matter what anybody else said. I probably already had a higher standard for what I wanted of myself. So like, I don't know. I think that's probably led to where social media, I mean, to say it doesn't bother you what people say is, I don't know, that probably isn't true because I think everyone's affected by what somebody says, but just to the degree of how much it affects you. You know, what about you? I mean, so you have a pretty good following. What do you think, like in terms of outside noise, I guess?
I try to do my best to separate myself from it, both the good and the bad, because I think both are a distraction and can get you off track.
Oh, 100%.
If you buy into it, yeah.
Kind of going back to wrestling a little bit, like the good and the bad. I always used to think the good affected me more than the bad. So,
yes,
you know,
100%.
like, yeah, you know, it's just, especially coming from a smaller town where there wasn't a lot of people who, I don't know, were like great at sports. I mean, for the size of the town, there was a lot of good athletes, but it wasn't like it was a big city where it was, you know, known like, oh, there's a bunch of people who are elite athletes. So since I was a little kid, it was always like, oh, you're going to be a state champion type thing. Plus, like my dad was a nut about wrestling, so like he would always say that. So it was always like, you know, oh, you're going to be a state champion, or I would have like a good tournament, and everyone would just be like, oh, you're the best. Like, and deep down, I would know, I'm like, oh, well, you know, winning this tournament's not really what my ultimate goal is, but everyone's like pumping you up. But you know, eventually, you're like, well, eventually, I'm going to get to tougher competition, and you know, that's ultimately my goal. So what are all these like praises? I think at my current level or even better than me, you know? So kind of keeping everything in perspective and being humble, I think is probably the thing that I needed to do more than people saying, oh, you're not good enough. It was more people saying, oh, you're amazing. You're the best. And realizing, oh, well, I'm not really.
Yeah. So kind of just keeping the ego in check.
Yeah. Because it would be easy to just agree with everybody, right? If everyone's saying you're the best, just, you're right. I am, you know?
Yeah, man. I agree 100%. I think it's much harder to check your own ego, especially when you have all these people that are just gassing you up. And I had a very similar experience with, you know, wrestling, being from a small town.
Yep.
And my freshman year, I came out and did extremely well. And I think we talked about it a little bit last time, but I got injured in the region finals match. And, you know, everyone, they have the forums, you know, the wrestling forums, and they do the rankings and all that. And I beat all the like top 10 guys or whatever. And, you know, they were predicting me to do this and that, and I couldn't go wrestle. So, you know, I had this surgery and, you know, I was bumping up through weight classes the following year, and I would let that stuff get to me so much. You know, everyone's like, you're going to be like a 3-time state champ. You're going to do all these awesome things. And I just felt so much pressure to perform, and it caused so much anxiety. And, my sophomore and junior years, I didn't do as well. I still did pretty good, but, I would get to those big matches at the end of the year and just choke, just absolutely choke. And I think I still have this on the notes section of my phone. It was before my senior year of wrestling. Me and one of my good friends, we played football together, and we just got done training at the gym. And I was just telling him, like, I don't know how I feel about wrestling season, man. Like, I have all this pressure. I feel like, everyone's expecting me to do these great things, become a state champion. And I just remember he told me to just go out and wrestle for yourself and have fun. It's your last year, and just go out and do it for you. It was something along those lines. And I wrote it down in the notes section on my phone from 2012. I still have it.
That's awesome.
And that's exactly what I did. I just let go of all that, the win, the losing. I just had fun with it. And I truly enjoyed that last year. And I made it to the semifinals. I was wrestling a 3-time state champ. And, it was one of those close matches, but he dominated the entire match.
Yeah.
He just very technically sound wrestler. But the difference was I'd been in that situation the year prior, and I just remember giving up after that match.
Yep.
I lost in the semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
I was just crying, breaking down. It was like my dreams were shattered, and I got pinned the next 2 matches and didn't place. The senior year, I just let go of that, and I came back and pinned the next 2 guys, finished 3rd. And the biggest lesson I learned through that, it's not about being a state champion. Even the powerlifting, it's not about being a world champion. It's not, none of that matters. The fame, whatever it is, it's the journey and the process of getting there. And there's so much that you learn along the way, and it builds your character and makes you a stronger version of yourself, and allows you to serve other people that much better. And that's what I love about powerlifting. It brings out the best in me. It gives me something to look forward to. And I love training. I've always loved it. I just love lifting weights, man. If powerlifting was gone, if Instagram was gone tomorrow, I'd still be in there getting after it.
Yep.
In that squat rack.
That's what I say too. I say that all the time. Like, when you really love training and love everything about it too, like even the dieting side of it too, like making sure your nutrition's dialed in, your sleep's dialed in. Like, so I'm turning 27 in October, and it just hit me. And that's going to mark like over 10 years straight of having like just training and nutrition, everything like dialed in. Like, not obviously as it is, as much as it is now, but to the best of my abilities at the time, it's going to be like 10 or 11 years straight of having everything dialed in. Like, and I'm not saying that like, oh, this is like the end of the journey or anything. This is just the beginning, because it's something I'm going to be doing the rest of my life. Like, regardless of where I am in life, this is going to be something I am doing. Yeah.
And I remember, I can't remember if it was before the show started, we talked about it, but I thought, what life's going to be like when I'm 70 or 80.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to be training in some capacity.
Yep.
I'm going to be doing something. I'm going to be living in the moment. There's a lot of time between now and then. And I love being active. I love training. I like the way it makes me feel about myself. And that's always going to be a part of me.
Well, it's the question of, okay, do we let what we're, potentially what our bodies are going to feel like when we're 70 and 80 decide what we do in our 20s? Should we? I mean, you see this in other sports too. I mean, especially in football these days. I mean, that's like super, with CTE and just like all like they're like changing the rules around tackling and hitting and all this stuff, because they're realizing like, oh man, like these football players, like a lot of them are getting messed up. But I bet you if you ask them if they would change anything, most of them would probably say no, I would assume, just because they were doing what they loved at the time.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And with all things considered, powerlifting is a pretty safe sport, considering we're not getting hit in the head. We're not punching. We're not in MMA. We're not getting tackled by 250-pound guys. Yeah, are our joints taking a beating, squatting and deadlifting and benching heavy weight? Of course. But sitting around and doing nothing is bad for you too. I mean, that's bad for your joints. What are you going to do? What could you possibly do to be healthy your entire life? Walk, train light. I mean, who wants to do that?
Yeah, that sounds so boring.
So what's your training? Well, I walk and I go pretty light in the gym.
Yeah, I water the garden.
Yeah, I do that, but it's only Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. And then Tuesdays, Thursdays, I walk the dog. So that's what I'm doing right now. It's 5 days a week. I take the weekends off. Don't do anything those days. Don't get off the couch. I do a little stretching.
Do some yoga classes.
Yeah, so it's like you got to do what you love. You got to do what you want to do.
Absolutely.
Shit. So what's going on in your personal life? You're staying pretty busy with physical therapy stuff, right?
Yeah. So I've had the past couple weeks off. So it's been great, man. Just been relaxing a little bit and then start school back next Monday.
Oh, cool. So it's coming right up.
Yeah, man. Right around the corner.
Do you, where you're at right now, do you look forward to finishing? Or are you just like so far in the process where you're just kind of not even worried about it right now?
It's one of those things, like you hear it all the time, like I'll be happy when I graduate or I'll be happy when I get to this point. I've always just loved living in the moment and enjoying what's right in front of me. And if you do the best you can under the circumstances you're under and you take care of everything you need to take care of, everything else is going to fall into place. So I just enjoy where I'm at right now and looking forward to getting back in school. And I've enjoyed this break I've had too, man. It's, we go through these seasons in life where sometimes we're more busy, sometimes we're a little more laid back, but I think it's just enjoying whatever season you're in and just kind of going with that process.
Yeah, definitely. What'd you do the last couple of weeks when you've had off? Do anything different or special?
So that's a lot of quality training. Went on a few walks, traveled around a little bit, but it was pretty laid back for the most part.
Yeah. So what's your schedule going to be like when school starts? Do you have to alter your training much, or do you stay pretty much on the same schedule year round?
I stay pretty much on the same schedule. Some days I'm in class a little bit longer, so I'll probably still train, in the evening around 6 p.m. or so.
Yeah.
And most classes are done around 4 p.m. Throughout the week, so works out great.
Yeah. Well. So what are the plans heading into nationals this year? Up a weight class, you feeling pretty confident? Your lifts look
very
great.
confident.
Looking strong.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's one of those things I've also learned just with meets. I just have fun with it. I don't like to attach to a certain number. I just let the process take care of that. And every session I go in, I turn the music on, and it's a pretty private gym.
Yeah.
And there's not many distractions in there, and I just love training. It has the little garage door in there, so you can see outside, and it's really chill. And I feel very confident in my list right now. So we'll see what happens come nationals.
Yeah. And as we talked about earlier, fall's coming up. Fall's elite season, man. I feel like it's elite season for training. I think when I think back, probably some of my best training sessions are in the fall. I think there's something to be said for moderate temperature training.
I agree. Yeah. 100%. Over the summer, I'll probably lose like 7-8 pounds in the gym just from sweat.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I never really thought about that much until I moved down to South Carolina and then dealt with the summer heat. Like I never really thought because growing up in New York, I mean, it got warm in the summer, but it wasn't, I don't know, is consistently hot. You'd have some days in the summer where it's only 70s, like it's not like down here, it's like mid 90s every day, pretty much every day from May to October is like, you're going to get more 90s than not. So it's hot.
Yeah.
A little toasty.
Do they have AC in the gym?
Yeah, they do. but it's still pretty warm in there. You know, if it didn't have AC, it would be, I mean, you could do it. There's people in Texas who are probably like, oh, come out of Texas. It's so much hotter. Yeah, I get it. But trust me, like when you're born in New York, it takes you a minute to get used to the southern heat, let alone Texas. I would die. I'd melt.
I'll tell you what, man, it's actually funny in the wintertime because the gym I train at, there's no heat. So I brought my space heater to the gym like last December because it was like 20 degrees outside it was like 20 degrees in the gym. So I go in there and I can like still see my breath. And I'm wearing like three layers of clothes. And I go to touch the bar. It's like freezing cold. So I had to get a lighter to heat it up. In between my sets, I'm like sitting by the space heater. And then I go back over to squat. I felt like, in the NFL, when it's really cold outside, they go on the sideline.
They got the heaters.
The heater. That's what it felt like, man.
You're like, man, this is going to kill my Instagram game of my shirtless training. You're like, my Instagram game, this is going to get killed here.
Man.
They're like, where's Charlie shirtless deadlifting pictures or videos? You're like, I'm trying, guys. It's 20 degrees out. Come on now.
Yeah, dude, it's cold as it gets so cold in there. It's rough.
You're like, man, I could cut glass with my nipples right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the thing I thought about. Like, I want to have a home gym, but I'm like, shit, how would I control the temperature down here? Like in the summer, it would just be so damn hot in a garage. Like, I'm sure I just gotta tough it out and do it, but I don't know. Like, I don't know how I would cool that down. Like during the winter, it's like that wouldn't be hard. You just get like a space heater. It's not like it's that cold. But in the summer, I feel like it'd be pretty miserable without AC.
What's the coldest it gets down there?
Actually, last winter it got pretty cold. Like we had a lot of days, but still, like cold days are probably like high 30s, lower 40s, really. But we got quite a bit. But the year before it was mild. Like I think in the winter, the lowest it really got was like low 50s. So, the year before was a little bit better winter than last year. Last year there were some colder days. I don't know if that's more the common, or if the year before was, because I've only been down here for 2 winters. I don't know if the year before the mild temperatures is more the norm, or the colder temperatures last year is more the norm. So I don't know. Guess we'll find out this year.
Yeah, it's pretty nice, man. 50 degrees.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, that's actually probably the time period that I enjoy living down here the most, is just when I see all my friends in New York dealing with 20 degrees and snowing, and it's 50. I'm like, okay, I can do that. That's okay.
Yeah,
I can live with that.
It's probably a lot less busy down there too.
Oh yeah, that's another thing too. Like in the summer, just driving around down here it's a pain in the ass, just because it's a tourist season. So just like even getting to the beach is a pain. But fall and winter, I mean, it's kind of a ghost town in a way. Like it's not. I mean, the population has grown a lot, especially with the older people. A lot of like older retired people are coming down, but the traffic's not nearly what it is in the summer. I mean, you can get around without any issue at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably really convenient.
Yeah, that's nice, because that's the other thing too, is I don't know, I think because I've always worked from home, that like I don't have to commute much, so I don't like commuting much. So if I have to sit in, like I'm super impatient, so if I have to sit in traffic to go somewhere, like if I'm going to the store and I really want to go to a different store, but if there's traffic, I'll just go to the first one I see. Like this is just going to be good enough. If they don't have what I need, then looks like I'm not getting it.
Do you ever shop in those like wing stores and the Eagles and stuff?
Oh, like the beach shops? Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah,
I like
beach shops.
I like to go to the ones like Tsunami or like Ranjan. I like those ones, like the little bit nicer ones. But like all the wings, you can sometimes get some nice trinkets in there. Yeah,
for sure. You do any surfing or anything like that?
Not much. I do like boogie boarding though.
Yeah.
It's so funny. So we got Lucy a little boogie board, my daughter, and she thinks it's a surfboard though. So she always says it's a surfboard. And it's so fun, like taking her out because she loves the thing, but she doesn't really quite grasp what she has to do yet. So she kind of just hangs on to it. But then every time a little mini wave comes, she pretty much flips over on it. So
yeah, man. Every time I would go out in the ocean, I always make sure there's like people around me.
People around, yeah.
So if there's like a shark or a jellyfish or something, like I'm like in the middle. So.
Yeah, you don't want to be the only one out there, just in case Jaws comes up.
Never know, man.
Well, there was I think it was like last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, there was like a jellyfish warning. Like when you look on the Weather Channel app, it like popped up like jellyfish warning at the beach. I'm like, what the hell? That's weird. So it must mean there's a bunch of jellyfishes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've actually like, it seems like it's not super common, but it seems pretty common for people to get stung by jellyfish. I mean, I never have, but just like, I think maybe just living at the beach, like I hear about it quite frequently.
Yeah. I've gotten stung like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, you have? There. So yeah, I guess it is pretty frequent, pretty common.
Doesn't feel too good.
No. What did it feel like?
It's like a really sharp bee sting, and it lasts a lot longer.
Yeah.
Or at least the times that I got stung, like you could see like the tentacle marks.
Yeah.
I got hit like right in my side of my stomach one time, and then on my calf, I think another time. But it's not too fun, but it's not terrible. But I think it's the shock of it. I think that's really what it is, because you're out there and you feel like some seaweed brush up against your legs. Like, what the hell is that? And then, of course, you get stung by something. It's like, oh shit, I just got bit by a shark and I have my leg amputated. Like all these thoughts run through your head. So you get out like, okay, my leg's still there. Little mark. So you're like,
well, there goes squatting. Can't squat or deadlift now. Yeah. Looks like I'm gonna have to just do bench only.
Yeah.
See me? I'd be like, I'm good.
Yeah.
It's just my leg. I'm good. Maybe.
Have you always had a pretty strong bench?
Huh?
Have you always had a pretty strong bench?
Yeah, like it's always been like probably the one lift that came natural to me the most. Kind of built to bench press with these T-Rex arms. But no, I think I've told the story on the podcast. The first time I ever benched before, well, actually, there's kind of like 2 first time ever bench stories. So the first time I ever benched at all, I was in 6th grade, and in gym class, we part of the year we went to the weight room in 6th grade, and the gym teacher had this thing where I can't remember what it was. It wasn't even an Olympic bar. It was like a standard bar, so the 1-inch bar. And I think it was either like 50 pounds or 75 pounds. I can't remember. Maybe it was both. I can't remember. But he had like a leaderboard for everybody in the 6th grade, all the guys in 6th grade. And it was how many times you could bench. I actually think it was 75 pounds, which, mind you, in 6th grade, I probably only weighed like 60 pounds because I wrestled 75 pounds in 7th grade. And then in 8th grade, I wrestled varsity 96 pounds, but I only weighed like 85 pounds. So I think I went like 10 pounds every year. So I think it was 85 in 8th, 75 in 7th, and probably 65 in 6th grade. So never benched before in my life. I weighed like 65 pounds, and it was a max out with 75 pounds. And I just remember never benching, getting on the bench, and benching more than everybody else. So I was like, oh shit, like this might be fun to do. Like, this is cool. Everyone's like, oh shit, you're so strong. So then never bench again until my 8th grade year. And after the season, we all went into the weight room after the wrestling season. And I think some of the guys like were trying to, I don't know, like embarrass me or something, because they made me bench 135. And like I said, I weighed like 85 pounds, didn't bench like at all. And then somehow I did it. So,
wow.
Yeah. Probably was a shitty rep, but I just remember everyone being like, holy shit, he actually did it. Probably with no warm up either.
Just go in there and hit it cold. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, but from that point forward, I was training. I started training pretty hard after that. And then the story I tell a lot is by the time I was a sophomore, still wrestling at 96 pounds, before this, like preseason, we were in the gym training, and I did 195 pounds as a sophomore, wrestling 96.
Wow.
Yeah. So
You weigh 96 pounds and bench 195?
In 195, yeah.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah. Our coach used to tell everybody that. Like, it was like he'd like tell other coaches, like, yeah, our 96 pounder bench is 195.
So when you were, that was your freshman year?
Sophomore year.
Yeah. Okay. With your wrestling style, were you more technical, or were you able to kind of manhandle people, or a little bit of both?
So I definitely was more like the bruiser than technical. Like, I wasn't super technical. I just like used like a more aggressive style, which was funny. So my practice partner, who was a kid, he was really good, went to states 3 years in a row, went D1. Like, he was like super technical. So it was kind of like a good combination, because he was like the technical wrestler, like super, like, I don't want to say like finesse, but definitely more a technician. And then me, I was like, I have like 5 moves I'm going to do, and I'm just going to force them to work. Like, that was kind of what I did.
Yeah.
It's like,
did you, were you more of a stand-up wrestler, or did you like to?
So I would definitely say I was probably best on my feet. But I was pretty good on top too. Actually, I struggled on the bottom for like my entire career until about my sophomore year, when, cause I used to, being a shorter kid, like whenever I wrestled taller kids, it was just, they'd always be able to hold me down, or I'd get stuck in cradles or shit. And then
some legs in.
They'd throw legs in, and I'd just can't get out. But then about my sophomore year, it just hit me. I go, I'm just going to do a stand up. Like, that's it. Like, I'm not doing anything else from the bottom except standing up. And then all of a sudden, like, no one held me down. So it was like, beforehand, like, another thing, I think it was probably like my dad's fault, but he was like, my dad was a technician. Like, he's the type of guy that like he'd want you to know like 100 moves. And even if you'd want to do like 3, but you'd have to know like 100. So his answer to why I struggled on the bottom was because I wasn't doing enough. So it was like, okay, you got to do like 10 different technique, like, like sit outs, and then like a switch to then a sit out, and then a sit up to a stand up, and then, all the shit. And I would just get, Granbies and stuff, and I would literally just get held down forever. And then finally I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to stand up, just going to get hand control, stand up, get back to my feet. And then if I get taken back down, I just try stand up again. Like, that's all I'm going to do. And then it worked.
It's really that simple. Yeah. I had that same struggle, man. I was really good on the feet, really good on top, but even freshman year, I was good off the bottom just because I felt like I was a little bigger than most kids. So I could do like a Granby roll pretty consistently and escape. When I went up a weight class to 125, man, I sucked on bottom. Like, I was absolutely terrible. I was the same way. I tried doing like a switch, tried doing a Granby. I would get like stuck, I'd get back points, and it's like, man, this sucks. And it's like, I would get super tired too. You're just wearing me out.
Yeah, you get worn out trying to get out, and the guy on top's barely doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. So when I just started standing up, it's really that simple. You just keep standing up.
Yep.
Eventually you'll get out.
That's funny that you have the same story. Yeah. It took me until my sophomore year in high school to finally figure out, like, if I just stand up and like not allow myself to do anything else from the bottom, like I do a stand up, and then if they bring you back down, you do a stand up again. And then they bring you back down, you do a stand up again. Eventually you're going to get out. Like, and then you're back to your feet where you're good. So what's the problem?
Yeah.
What did you do from top?
I like to do a lot of tilts and things. So,
you were one of those.
Yeah. So off the whistle, I would tight waist and get the opposite ankle and just kind of stabilize, and then I try to break him down with chopping the arm.
Yeah.
And just go to work with bars and tilts. And
you're a little bit taller, so
yeah.
The tilts never really worked for me, just because I was always the shorter guy. But I ran a lot of bars. Like, that's what I did. Chicken wings, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, chicken wing. Yeah, it's always funny, man. You get a really good one in, and you just hear him like kind of screech a little bit when you're. Yeah.
There was one. I was in the semifinals of a tournament, and I get on top and start running bars, and then the kid would start screaming every time I'm going to turn him. He would start screaming, and so then they would stop. I'd get like a 1 point for like a screamer point, but I wouldn't get any back points or anything. So we'd go back to the center. I'd do it again. He starts screaming. It was like 3 times in a row. And then I remember going over my coach. My coach was like a real hard ass. And I'm like, shit, man, I think I'm going to have to do something different here. Every time I go to turn him, he keeps screaming. I go, should I do something different? And the coach is like, no, keep doing it. I think like the fourth rotation here of him screaming like 3 times in a row. The fourth time, he just gave up and went over. I was so mean with it. That was like so aggressive. Like once I got that bar in, like what I would do too is, it's a super basic move, but you would just create a ton of pressure and they would fight down. And then as soon as they fight down, you just jump to the other side.
Yep.
So you run it, and then they're fighting down, keep it, but then you jump to the other side, grab the chin, and like that was like the killer move. Like I did that since I was like 5 years old. Like that's just like the standard there.
Yeah, and there's so much you can do with a bar too, man. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Do you guys ever do spin drills? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, we did those quite a bit.
So my first varsity coach ever was like a nut with spin drills. So everyone listening who doesn't know what that is, so think of, someone gets in a down position on all fours, and then you're on top, your chest on their back, and you just spin, and every time the whistle blows, you have to go in a different direction. So my 8th grade year, the first varsity coach I had was like a nut with spin drills. So we would literally do them every single practice for at least 45 minutes. And then what we would do is like a different move. Like we'd do the spin drills like back and forth for around like 2 minutes or something. And then we'd do like a double whistle, and we'd have to do like a cross face far ankle, and then like a cross face, break them down, then run a bar, just like a bunch of shit. But man, I just remember like hating those damn spin drills.
I forgot about those, man. Those were brutal, especially if you're cutting weight.
Yeah.
And we go to practice and be in like a hoodie and like sweatpants and all this stuff, and you're like dehydrated, and you're trying to do that for 20 minutes straight. It is brutal. Yeah,
then even when you're on the bottom, like holding up the other person, like that gets tiring too.
Yeah, especially you start wrestling that heavier. You have a heavier partner, man, and it gets rough.
Which was really always my case, because I was always like the lightest kid on the team, so I'd always have like the bigger guy hold them up. Oh man,
absolutely. Did you ever do anything flashy as far as takedowns or anything?
I never really did any like throws or anything. I would probably say like the flashiest thing I did was I kind of did like a Jordan Burroughs double, like a blast double. That would probably be like the flashiest thing. I did a lot of basic shit, man. Like I did a lot of work off the tie-ups too. Like guys would like to tie up and do like a rush in, and then like a rush into like a single, rush into a single to a double, like things like that. But not much like too crazy. But did you do throws? Being a tall
I didn't really do many throws. I like to stick to the basics. So, a lot of things from hand fighting and tie-ups. Yep. I think the flashiest thing I like to do is a super duck.
Yeah.
I would kind of keep that in my back pocket. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't, but when it did work, man, you feel so good.
Oh yeah. And you kind of have like those longer arms too, so you can kind of keep a hold of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's one of those things when you wrestle for a long time, you just kind of get this intuitive feel of when to do something. Mm-hmm. And when you hit it, it just feels like so smooth. And you feel like you're in the Matrix or something.
Oh, it does too. If you get the timing down on it, it's awesome. I don't know if I ever really did it much. I mean, I definitely did it, but not like, it was never like something I was like looking for. It's almost if it fell into my lap. I'm like, oh, this guy's going to give this to me.
Yeah.
I will say something flashy. One time, and this was the only time that I think it ever happened to me in my life. One time I did get taken down with an arm drag. Like an arm drag right to a trip. Like someone did that to me right off the whistle one time.
Oh man.
That was pretty embarrassing. Right off the whistle, he like backed up. So I'm like, oh shit, okay, I'm gonna come in. And then as soon as I came in, it was like hand fight to arm drag trip. And I'm like down. What the hell happened here? I also got standing cradled one time in the finals of a tournament.
Oh man,
I think I told that story one time on the podcast, but it was the finals of a really big tournament too, a pretty big tournament for the area. And I was just like I already wrestled the kid in the finals of a tournament earlier in the year, and I beat him like 9-1. So I was like way overconfident. I was like, oh, this kid like doesn't have like a chance. This is going to be like the easiest finals match of my life just because he can't do anything. And then next thing you know, I literally got put in a standing cradle and pinned in the first period.
I think that's the beauty of wrestling is that humility.
Yep.
Because I've been overconfident so many times, man.
And
I've gotten my ass kicked.
You will get caught on it when you get. I almost think that's like a good life. Like when people who've gone through that, it's like a great life lesson. You know that. Yeah. And I've talked. Did you listen to the podcast I did with Bryce Meredith?
I did.
Yes, we actually talked about that of just being like humbled. Like you never know who's out there. Like, and when you talk to people who've never really been humbled, they almost have this like false sense of who they are, which trust me, confidence is a great thing. And you need to be confident. You need to be self-confident, but there's just something to be said for, you never know who the other person is. You never know who's on the other line,
Yeah. It's crazy, man. I've wrestled some guys that are just very unassuming.
Yes.
You would never expect them to be like the badass that they are. Go out there and like get tech balled in the second period and just scrub the mats with you, man. It definitely humbles you real quick.
I got one time when I was little, I got tech falled by a kid wearing a pink singlet. Now, mind you, I should have realized if a kid had a pink singlet on, he was probably pretty damn good. Like, but I was like, what is going on? Wrestling a kid, it was like a bright pink singlet. I'm like, this has to be a joke. And then just got mauled for, I don't know, however long, I don't know. It wasn't 6 minutes when you're a little kid, 5 minutes or 4 minutes, whatever it was.
Yeah.
3 minutes. However long it was, I got mauled the entire time. So
I still remember my very first tournament because I was in middle school and I've been going to these open mats and I've been doing extremely well, just starting out, like getting takedowns on the guys I was wrestling locally. Mm-hmm. So then we went to the Commonwealth Games in Virginia. And I remember the first guy I wrestled, he was from the Virginia Beach area. And he's wearing I go in there thinking I'm going to do all these fancy moves. I'm going to do like a banana split or something like that. I'm going to like make these guys look silly. And I'm wearing like a shirt and shorts, and this guy's wearing a singlet. He has his headgear. I'm like, oh shit. He's serious. We go out there and he just destroys me. And absolutely, he tech followed me in the first period, and it was bad, man. And I think that was my very first dose of humility. At that point.
I've told my story of my first tournament, but it's great. Like same thing. Like I'm just going to open mat, going to practices, feeling pretty confident. Like I know what I'm doing for the most part. Go to my first tournament, which was actually in my hometown. It was at the community college in my hometown. Pretty big tournament. I'm like, oh, my first tournament. This is going to be fun. Go out. The first kid I wrestled ended up being a 3-time New York State champion. Eventually, when he got older, we're like 7 years old here, 6 years old, get pinned. My second match, what do you know? We're in the losers bracket. Second match ever. Oh, who knows? This kid actually ends up being a 4-time national champion. Kyle Daig. My second match ever.
Yeah.
Get beat by him. I'm like, shit, maybe I'm not as good at this wrestling thing as I thought I was. That was my first tournament ever.
Yeah. It teaches you so much, though. And I think the cool thing, you got back at it.
Oh, yeah.
You kept going back. You kept practicing. You kept drilling. And I think that's the beauty of it when you face those setbacks and you're at that low point, you pick yourself back up. You learn from it. You make adjustments and you keep growing.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it earlier, but just the process, like trusting the process of whatever you're doing is so important. And in the daily habits, like, going back and with wrestling, going back to practice, going back drilling, working hard. With powerlifting or training, just going back to the gym, just having those daily habits in place. That's what's going to ultimately lead to success. You got to be obsessed with those habits, just those daily habits, day in and day out. That consistency life. I mean, that's what it takes.
Yeah, 100%, man.
we get so caught up in results, which I get it. It's easy too. But getting caught up on results, that's not what's going to lead to the ultimate goal. Like if you're constantly just obsessing about a certain total or a certain meet and not obsessing about what it's going to take to get there, you're probably off base.
Yeah. It all comes back to the work, putting in the work consistently and having that discipline. And when you're so focused on that, everything else just becomes extraneous. You know, you don't let the pressure get to you. You don't let those opinions of what other people think of you get to you because you're so focused on working. You know, they can talk all they want, you know, whether it's they're praising you or they're trying to bring you down, it doesn't matter. You know, you're still going to put the work in. And I think that's what it comes down to.
100%. Discipline over equals freedom.
That's the background on my phone, man.
Is it?
Reminds me every day. Yeah.
I saw you reading the book. That's a great book. I love that one. I love Jocko.
It fires me up. Yeah. I think we've all heard those things, you know, over the course of our lives, but when it comes from the right person, it just really resonates with you. And he's definitely been a huge mentor in my own life.
That book, I don't know if I've ever been more fired up after reading the book and reading that book. It really resonated with me. The first part of that book is just every page is like gold.
Yeah. Yeah. I just remember like 2 summers ago, that's when I got my introduction to Jocko, and I just wake up at 6 or 7 a.m., go on a walk, just listen to his podcast. And just kind of brainwashed me to think a certain way. And I really resonate with that lifestyle and that having those habits and that discipline.
Did you ever listen to his podcast on with Tim Ferriss?
The original one?
He did a couple of them. I can't remember which one it was. But one of the ones he did with Tim Ferriss, this has always stood out to me. And it's super simple, but it actually, when you think about it, I don't know, just like really think about it, it makes a ton of sense about just training and in life. Tim was like going on and on about Jocko. And then like the first question he asked him, he was like, so you've built a lot of muscle in your day. He's like, do you have any recommendations for everyone listening on how to build muscle? And he goes, squats and deadlifts, right? And Tim's like, that's a great answer. And Jocko's like, does anybody give a different answer? And they're just like, like, of course, like we talk about training all the time, especially people who listen to this podcast are probably read all of like the training books and have listened to all the training podcasts and all the details. And no one really, Jocko's not really known for being like a training technician or something, but it's just when someone asks you, like, what do you do to build muscle or strength, gain strength or muscle? Squats and deadlifts. Like that's always the answer. Like it's so simple. It just, I don't know why it's always resonated with me because it just seems like we want to make it more hard, like more complicated than it needs to be sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've always been a thinker. I've always been up in my thoughts, even as a kid. And I think with Jocko, he really has helped me to just take action. It's very simple. You know what you need to do it. Yep. That's it. You know, if you want to be more disciplined, then just be more disciplined. Mm-hmm. It's really that simple. Yeah. You just wake up earlier. Yeah. Good. All those little philosophies, man. It's really simplified my life because there's so much information out there, especially with training and nutrition. There's all these different programs. There's, this diet will help you get the results you want. And this training program does this. And it's like, just do something and give it everything you have and you will get results. And you will learn certain things about that process. And over time, you just kind of modify that. And you, at the root of it, you just have to take action. That's what it comes down to. Taking action. And most people don't. That's where they lack. It's normally not a lack of information because most people have enough, maybe not the best information, but they have enough information to move them forward. It's the action that they're lacking. And that's, one of the benefits of coaching is if you can't make yourself take action, then find a way or find someone to help you build in that accountability to take action. Yeah. It just makes it really simple. You get to the gym, you pull up your spreadsheet, you see what you got to do, just do it. And just do it. Don't overthink it. You don't need to,
change your mind about something 100 times. Should you change your mind about something over time? Yeah, eventually as you learn more, but just whatever you have available to you right now is good enough. You have what it takes. Just you have the information, you have it deep down. You know what you need to do. Just do it. That's all there is.
Yeah.
You just got to do it.
You just got to step out of that comfort zone, man.
It's so easy.
Where growth happens.
It's so easy just to get locked into what's comfortable, just like, our daily routines. It's hard to break them, for good or bad. That's why you want to make sure your routines are good and leading you to your ultimate goal, because once you get those habits and routines dialed in, it's hard to break them. So if they're great and they're working towards your goal, then you're set. But if they're bad habits, they're bad routines, and they're not leading towards your goal, they're just as harder, if not harder, to break.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to discipline yourself to the right habits.
Yeah.
And it is hard to do, but you have to start somewhere, and why not start now?
Do you think, have you always been disciplined?
No. I think that's, my own self-criticism talking, but I think I'm more disciplined than most people, if I'm being objective. Because I grew up with two older brothers who were both in the military.
Okay.
And so they never let me make excuses for anything. So I appreciate that so much. And they really instilled a lot of the habits I have now in me at a young age, especially like my love for training. And I've looked up to both of them tremendously. They've been very good role models to me. And I think that's definitely had an impact on my mindset and the discipline that I carry with me in my daily life. So
I've always wondered what it would be like to have older brothers. I think it's like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of times you see not just athletes, but just people in general, when they have older brothers or just mentors in general, they tend to, if they have someone to look up to, they tend to do better, tend to accelerate faster.
Yeah, 100%. Like I can remember going to like high school football games. Steven, he's 7 years older than me. And he was like the star running back of the team. He's doing front flips over the end zone and stuff.
Oh, shit.
Like, I want to be like that. Uh-huh. Yeah. So I was always the little brother. He would just talk me up to all his friends. Like, my brother, he's like super strong. And I'm thinking about, I'm weak as hell. Like, I can't even bench the barbell, but he's talking me up. So it's like, I want to live up to that expectation.
Yeah.
And that was a very powerful, driving force for me.
Yeah, that's wild. What when you first got into lifting, did you realize you were naturally strong?
Not right off the bat. I think when I first started, I was like 80 pounds. It was like in the 8th grade. It's just like
we have that in common.
Ago. Yeah, it's about 10 years ago. I was started lifting weights for football, and I could maybe bench like 55 pounds. I started out squatting on the Smith machine, and I think I started out with like 135 pounds, which was pretty straightforward. But I think my sophomore year, after I had the knee surgery, that's really when I got involved with strength training and really focusing on getting stronger and building muscle. And I think my sophomore year, I'll never forget this day. I squatted 315 for 10, I think it was. I was about 125 pounds, but that was because Steven, he had just went overseas. He was in special forces, so that weighed on me a lot. And it was one of those things like, if he's going to go overseas and risk his life, it gave me this feeling of invincibility. And I go in under the squat rack. It's like, I'm not afraid to die.
Yeah.
It's like this mindset, this like switch that I developed through that inspiration that he gave me. And, it's one of those places I can go to and I can, reliably call on that when it's a tough training session, the workload starts beating me down. It's like, don't put your hands on your knees. Don't start complaining or anything like that. You chose to be here. Make it look easy. You know what I mean? It's not about looking weak in front of the people around you. It's more about not looking weak in front of yourself.
In yourself. Yeah. I love that, dude. I love that. Do you have like a phrase, or maybe that is your phrase that you tell yourself during hard training sessions?
Yeah, absolutely. It's that same concept of just make it look easy. You know what I mean? You're there to do a job. Do your job. That's it. And when the workload, I'm telling you, man, you get in there 2.5 hours, you're doing the squat, bench, deadlift. They're all real heavy. Your joints are aching. You might be dieting down, whatever it is. You have a choice. You can choose to let that beat you down, or you can choose to fight back and do your job.
I love it. Charlie, dude, this has been great. I'm already saying it now. We're going to have to do another one.
Absolutely, man. I really, really appreciate you bringing me on. I enjoy these conversations, and it's always a blast, man.
Yeah, dude, this is what I want the podcast to be. Actually, you know what? So this will be out on Friday, but we're recording this on Thursday. What's the 23rd, I think? It's whatever the date is. I saw on Facebook Memories that today is exactly 2 years since I started the podcast.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, 2 years of this podcast.
Yeah, you've done some great things with the podcast. I enjoy listening to them. I'm a huge fan. So
that's awesome. You know what was wild, dude? So when I used to make YouTube videos, of course, there's always more interaction with YouTube, like YouTube comments and likes and everything. But with the podcast, I mean, there's no like one universal page for people to like and comment and stuff. Of course, I get social media comments, people saying they like it, emails and stuff. But I don't know, whatever. I just don't think of, I see the numbers of people that are listening to it, but I just don't put like faces to them as much.
Yeah.
This weekend at the meet, like I was so surprised. Like so many people came up to me and said that they listened to the podcast. I was like, holy shit, that's amazing. Like,
yeah,
it's wild. Like, and it's cool because I can say that. I mean, I've just had so much fun with it. I mean, I say that like every podcast, but especially when I have conversations like you and I just had, like this is why I started the podcast. So we could have these conversations and, it gives everybody a platform we just talk training, talk whatever we want, talk wrestling. Like this is good for this shit.
I like the open-endedness of your podcast, and you should hear it more often, man. You do a fantastic job with your podcast.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. It's awesome. Yeah, dude, this is,
I'm honored to be on. So
yeah, I'm honored to have you, man. It's, especially living the life that I live. It's not like, I'm having these conversations any other way, really. I mean, so the podcast, it's, my selfish way to have these conversations, but then if people enjoy it too, that's almost just like a side benefit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the lifestyle that we live. It's hard to have these conversations with people, especially, doing a lot of your own business and things like that. So it's really cool to have these.
Yeah. It's especially when you just have your own business and you just essentially work by yourself. I mean, I talk to my clients and stuff, but other than that, it's not like, and even just in general, like there's not a lot of people who are all around, no matter where you live. It's not like you're going to have an abundance of people who are interested in the same things you're interested in to talk to every day, so you almost have to artificially create it. And even when you're just listening to podcasts, it's the same thing. Like, it's not like you have Jocko to talk to every day, but you can listen to his podcast and it's almost the next best thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How can people get more information about the world champ?
So if you, main social media platform I use is Instagram. So it's at cdickson3245. You can find me on there.
What's the numbers?
So 32 is my brother's football number, and then 45 is my football number.
Oh, okay.
Which is inspired by Rudy. It's a really good football movie.
Yeah. Oh, Rudy.
Yeah. Yep.
Football. What's your top 5 football movies?
Varsity Blues is number one.
I was going to say Varsity Blues has to be number one.
Yeah, that one's good. I like Friday Night Lights.
Yep.
I like Any Given Sunday, I think it is.
Yeah.
That one's good.
So far, the top three are the same for me.
You seen The Program?
Yep.
That one's pretty good.
Yep, that's a good one.
And then, shoot.
What makes it into the top five?
The fifth one's hard, man. It's I'm thinking The Water Boy for some reason.
I was going to say, we have some options here. So if we want to go the funny route, I would say, I love The Water Boy. I would have to include that one. And then, of course, you remember The Titans if you want like an emotional, serious movie. But man, I love The Water Boy.
Yeah. You can't beat that. The Little Giants is pretty good too.
Oh, Little Giants is a great one too. I forgot about that one. That one's a great movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one as well.
Since I was a little kid. That's a great one. I'm trying to think of other great. There's a ton of them. But yeah, Varsity Blues, number one for sure.
Yeah. Of course, Rudy's in there too. I like
Rudy's good too. Do you get into watching? Did you get into watching Friday Night Lights, the TV series?
I haven't started watching the TV series. I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's good. It's it's a TV show, so you get more invested into the characters and stuff. But I don't know if I would say it's better than the movie because I really like the movie. So I'd probably say that they're about equal, but they're different. They're very different.
Yeah.
There's no Boogie Miles in the show though.
Oh man, that's rough, man. You want to win, you got to put Boogie in.
Let him. I was just going to say that. Want to win, got to put Boogie in. Let him.
Yep.
That's awesome. Charlie, this is awesome, man. I will put your Instagram in the show notes. Go give him a follow, everybody, and I'll definitely have him back on and wish him luck at Nationals this year.
I appreciate it, man. And thanks again for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Absolute Strength Podcast. I know I had a ton of fun producing it for you. And before you go, if you could just drop me some feedback, I'd love it. I love reading your feedback. So you can go over to iTunes, leave a 5-star rating, write a little review, what you think of the podcast. I absolutely love it. I read every single one. But it's cool if you don't want to do that. I get it. No one wants to really go out of their way to do anything, let alone write a review. But I want to get your feedback. So drop me a line on Instagram at Hunt Fitness, or on Facebook, Kyle Hunt, or on Twitter, or send a pigeon or something. I don't know. I just want to hear your feedback. So if you want to give me some feedback, let me know what you think. Hit me up on Instagram at Hunt Fitness. And before you go, I have one last thing I want to say. I have a program I want you to check out. It's actually called the Absolute Strength Program, and the link is in the show notes. It's a program I designed to help increase my own squat, bench, and deadlift. And I got pretty strong off of it, and I think you're going to like it. It's a great book. Thousands of people have got amazing results from it. It's in the show notes. All right, guys. Until next time, until next episode, peace.